People would say it's easy to fill up the oil after a change or to do a top up and get the oil level right on small engines. I'm going to show you a lot of people get it wrong and how you can avoid the pitfalls and keep your engine healthy. So I've got a sample of small engines here. There's Hondas, Honda copies, generics, who knows what. Every single one of them has a different dipstick mark. These smaller ones, they should be identical, but they're not. So I'm going to show you how to identify where your oil level should be. If you're lucky, you've kept your user manual with the vague instructions they provide. So what I'll do is I'll just run you through each of the dipsticks and their markings. So first you've got an idea of the variance, and then we'll talk about the levels. We'll start off with a ride-on. If you have a look at the dipstick, first of all, it's not a screw in out, it's a twist on, twist off. You'll note there's a low and a high mark with that squiggly line and two holes. We have this grey generator. It's a small 80cc, I believe it is. It's got a low and a high with the squiggly line in between. Good as gold. We go to the post hole digger. I think it's about a 38cc, 4-stroke. You'll note it has squiggly lines and max. The whippersnipper or line trimmer, that has an actual Honda engine. It's a 35cc. You'll note with the Honda engine, all it has is squiggly lines all the way down the dipstick. There is no low or high markings. We go to the post hole driver, and that one has a minimum and maximum. Then we go to the log splitter, and it's fairly substantial 212cc engine. That has squiggly lines all the way up and down the dipstick and also has a low and a high mark. And lastly, we go to this 18 horsepower genset, and its dipstick just has squiggly lines, not all the way to the bottom and not all the way to the top. So as you see, with just this small sample of small engines, there is a large variation in how the dipsticks indicate. Best option, if you've got the user manual and you can understand their vague instructions, do it. We'll start off with a ride-on, which does not have a John Deere engine in it. If you have a look at the dipstick, first of all, it's not a screw in out, it's a twist on, twist off. You'll note there's a low and a high mark with that squiggly line and two holes. Take it between the holes. If you've got oil between those two holes in that squiggly line, you are right to go. Now that's unique because that's an actual dipstick, metal dipstick, like a traditional engine, not a small engine. So always note with that. Now we go to our small engines. I have a simple technique that's been fail-safe for me. With most of these engines, you can't put in too much oil. There's a very simple rule I go by. I'll show you this one up here because it's the easiest. Simple tips to keep you out of trouble. Remove your dipstick and with a paper towel, wipe it clean. Don't use your fingers. Then just rest it over the threaded section. Don't go screwing it in and unscrewing it again. Just rest it, touch it, remove it. You can see on this one, it's halfway up the dipstick. Perfect. As long as you've got oil on the bottom up to the top, anywhere in there is dandy. Just perfect. You are right to go. Another thing you'll see, I'll show you on this one, our post driver. On this one, I'll show you right to the top. I've got a paper towel this time because it does get messy. Take the dipstick out. I'll try and zoom in there. Once you've got your dipstick out, just rest it on the threads, pull it out. And as you'll see, it's above the max and it's there, about 3/4 of the way up the dipstick. But have a look. It is as full as a goog. It can't take any more. That is how you will get out of trouble and stay out of trouble with engine oils. These three engines, I all fill up the same way. It doesn't matter what the dipstick says. If it's touching the bottom or it's about to overflow, anywhere in there is fine. Remember, you don't have to be at maximum. You don't want to be below minimum. Find that happy medium. Be comfortable with it halfway up the stick. Be comfortable with it near the high level or maximum. Don't be afraid with these real small ones, these little 30 or 40 or 50 or so cc 4-strokes. Fill it till it overflows, it's fine. You're going to get a bit of a mess, but if you can do it just before it overflows, check it with a dipstick, you'll be fine. The most important part is the dipstick has to have oil on it when you dip it. Anything less than that, you are going to destroy your engine or reduce its lifespan dramatically. This one, I just fill it to the high level, somewhere between the low and the high, usually close to the high level. This one, same thing, I'll show you. Right to the lip, just had its oil change. And you'll probably find because the ground is slightly sloping this way, it's giving an off reading. But if I dip and remove, look, it doesn't go all the way up the dipstick, it gets close to it. In this case, it sits on that high mark. There you go. I hope you've learnt something from this. I hope you have been doing it right. And if you haven't, you should be able to from now on. It's so easy. Unscrew your dipstick, wipe it clean, rest it on the thread. Don't thread it in and out. Just rest on the thread, check the level. If there's a little bit of oil on your dipstick, you're just enough. If it's about to come out the top, you are fine. Don't be afraid with these little ones. Even this thing, like you saw. On a level ground, it would be just below the first thread. This one has been running for many years now. We've had this for 8 years, but it's always had the correct amount of oil in it. So I'm wishing everybody happy motoring and the best of success with ensuring your small engines have a long lifespan. Lastly, no, not lastly, there is a huge variation in the dips you can't put up. And simple